To some people, clowns are terrifying. It's just something about them. Even in the movies, clowns are made to scare you. But these clowns aren't real. Written fantasies, that is all. This clown, on the other hand, was very real. Pogo the Clown, his real name being John Wayne Gacy, is one of the most prolific serial killers in American history. He was responsible for 33 known murders of teenage boys and young men. His body count could have been greater if it hadn't been for the disappearance of this boy, Robert Piest. On December 11th, 1978, Robert was working at the Nissan pharmacy, where he overheard Gacy speaking with the owner of the pharmacy about how his contracting firm will hire teenagers for $5 an hour. Later that day, Robert tells his mother that he was going to go talk to this contractor about a job. He never returns. Robert's parents file a missing persons report, and the owner of the pharmacy tells the police that it was Gacy who was offering the job that Robert was hoping to get. When the police go to question Gacy, he tells them that he never offered Robert a job. The police decide to have a surveillance team follow Gacy around, as they firmly believe he had something to do with Robert's disappearance. A quick check of Gacy's record shows the police that he once served time in an Iowa prison for the sodomy of a boy. So on December 13th, a search warrant was issued and the police went through Gacy's home. Several items that were found seemed very suspicious. A 1975 class ring, the initials JAS were engraved, a collection of driver's licenses, handcuffs, a syringe, male clothes that were way too small to fit Gacy, and a photo receipt from the pharmacy that Robert Piest worked. On December 15, the police are able to trace the high school ring back to John A. Syke. Upon speaking with Syke's mother, the police find out that her son was reported missing. Also, her son apparently sold his car, a Plymouth Satellite, to John Wayne Gacy. One of Gacy's employees, Michael Rossi, had a similar car. A quick check of the VIN number told the police it was Syke's old car. When Rossi was questioned about the car, he told the police that Gacy bought the car off Syke because Syke needed money to get to California. Now, Gacy, being well aware that there was a surveillance team watching him, started to get friendly with the detectives. He even invited them to a restaurant for breakfast. Gacy was talking to the detectives about several things when he started telling them how he would go to events and parties as a clown. Gacy was heard to say, quite casually, "You know, clowns can get away with murder." December 18, the detectives were able to track the photo receipt that was found at Gacy's home to Kim Byers, a co-worker of Robert Piest from the Nissan pharmacy. When questioned, she tells the police that she put that receipt in her jacket pocket, just before she gave the jacket to Piest. This one piece of paper contradicts the story Gacy gave the police earlier. The next day, Gacy invites a few of the surveillance detectives into his home. When one of the officers used the bathroom, he noticed a strong, decaying odor coming from the heat vent. On December 21st, the police get another warrant to search Gacy's home. This time they look under his floor where there is a small crawl space. The detective is there for only a few minutes. Then another. Then another. Gacy is charged with murder. The discovery of 3 bodies was worse than the police initially expected, but they had no idea how bad it really was. Gacy, now aware of the situation he finds himself, tells the officers that he wants to clear the air. He then admits to the murders of close to 30 people. Gacy then tells the police how he would kill his victims. He would start off by handcuffing them, by convincing them that he was going to show them a magic trick, or by force. Most times he would shove rags or pieces of clothing into their mouths. This would usually asphyxiate them. The unlucky ones, who were still alive after that, would witness what Gacy liked to call his rope trick.
They said, well, what kind of a knot do you use? I said, what do you mean knot? When I tie things up? I says, depending on what I'm using it for, I said, the only thing I ever learned from Boy Scouts is a tourniquet knot. He said, well, show us what that is. Okay, here. What I told him, I said, here, all you do is you wrap it around, you put one knot in it. And I said, then you put a second knot in it. Okay? Mm-hmm. I said, then you take a stick and stick it in here, and you just turn this, And I says, because it's a tourniquet. I said, that's the only knot I ever learned.
Precisely the kind of knot found on the ropes wrapped around the necks of the victims found under the house on Summerdale.
The I-55 bridge overlooking the Des Plaines River is where Gacy tells the police 5 of his victims, including Piest, would be found. They were only able to locate 4 bodies. Meanwhile, back at Gacy's house, the police tear down the walls and rip up the floor. 26 bodies were found in the crawl space. 1 victim was buried under the concrete of Gacy's garage. Another was buried close to a barbecue grill in the backyard, and the final body was found underneath the dining room floor. 29 bodies in all were found underneath Gacy's property, bringing the grand total to 33. It is believed that there may be more victims. The number could be as high as 45. The trial began on February 6, 1980, after both sides pleaded their case. On March 12th, the jury took less than 2 hours to come back with a guilty verdict for all 33 murders. The defense asked for life imprisonment, but the jury decided on the death penalty. Gacy was to die by lethal injection. For 14 years, Gacy was imprisoned in the Menard Correctional Center, located in Chester, Illinois. While there, he began to paint and was selling them at auctions. He also was reading law books and filed many appeals, none of which went through, however. All of his appeals had 0 merit. Gacy also stated that he somewhat remembers killing 5 of the victims, but the rest were murdered by his employees who had keys to his house. They would bury the bodies in the crawl space while he was on business trips. On May 9, 1994, a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, a dozen fried shrimp, French fries, a pound of strawberries, and a Diet Coke was brought to Gacy's cell. This would be his last meal before his execution. During the execution, it seems there was a complication as one of the tubes was clogged. The entire process took 18 minutes, about 4 times longer than it should have, and experts say that the ordeal would have been excruciatingly painful. Like Gacy, who showed no remorse for what he had done, seeing as his last spoken words were "kiss my ass," one of the prosecutors at the trial, William Kunkel, said this:
"He got a much easier death than any of his victims. In my opinion, he got an easier death than he deserved."
And I agree. Gacy was a sociopath. Those 33 victims never deserved what happened to them, but Gacy enjoyed doing it. He was the boss, he was in charge, and he loved that feeling. Many experts say that it was due to his upbringing, the abuse he suffered as a child at the hands of his father, that helped create the vile man he would become. Personally, I think he was just bad, plain and simple. Nothing fancy, just evil. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, then please hit that like button and then subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter. My name is Rick. Till next time.